confession to make. I came to the Dell with 8 slides, and then every day that I sat here for the last 3 days, I went back and I said, wow, that was such an awesome talk. I need a few more slides to add to mine. So I'm up to about 26, and you're going to be here till lunch. For those of you who don't know about UCSF, we are a life science healthcare graduate school, part of the University of California. We are absolutely top tier. We have 5 Nobel laureates. We're a top 3 medical school, a top 10 hospital. We have some awesome science going on in absolutely every area of healthcare, and very proud to be part of this. So we actually started the entrepreneurship in the Bay Area with Genentech. Our UCSF faculty member, Herb Boyer, back in the 1970s, got together with Stanley Cohen and they cloned DNA. And Herb was a bit of a misfit, so he was causing all kinds of trouble in the lab. And he was approached by an early venture capitalist, Bob Swanson, and then Genentech was born, so we have a long history here. You know, people say you can't teach entrepreneurship, but that's not true. What you can't teach is for someone to be an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship, an entrepreneur is innate, and people who are entrepreneurs stand out. Basically, we're all misfits. We want to change things. We don't like the status quo. We're miserable in a structured environment. We reject rules. We don't like structure. We're okay with ambiguity. We're just a different phenotype. But entrepreneurship is creating a company from an idea. And while an entrepreneur will say yes when everyone else says no, and these are some signs that you're meant to be an entrepreneur. Oh, here are my David Roberts pictures. I did a lot of animal pictures after I saw his talk. But these little ducklings, they're not entrepreneurs, they're just followers. But this penguin is definitely a different kind of guy, and that's what being an entrepreneur is all about. But we know how to teach people how to create a company from an idea. And this is a land of business models, of value propositions, intellectual property, how you build a team, what you say to investors. These things are all very teachable. And we can do it in only 10 weeks. So this is Serge Goswami. He is a UCSF grad, very proudly holding up his PhD sign with the day he got his PhD about a year ago. And when I asked Serge, why did you do this? He said, you know, I've just always been different. I've never fit into a bucket. I'm totally self-motivated. I'm a free thinker. I'm very creative. And what good does research do if it doesn't have practical application to patients? So we took 2 of our courses. And as soon as he got his PhD, he set up this company, Insight RX, which is a bioinformatics company. And it uses the principles of quantitative pharmacology and machine learning to provide an understanding of a patient's response to a drug. So in his first year out of UCSF, he got into a competitive accelerator. He raised a seed round, and he's in the process of raising his second seed round right now. This is Dan Widmeyer. He's one of our big success stories. So this is Dan as a PhD student playing around in the lab. He took 2 of our courses. Actually, he took the same course twice, called Idea to IPO. First time he sort of screwed around and didn't really do anything. He's supposed to work on a business plan, but he didn't have any good ideas. But the second time he took it, he got serious. And one of the things in his lab were as a side project on spiders. And in fact, people said that there were a lot of spiders running around the lab. So he, was kind of iffy if you wanted to go visit him. But it turns out that insects and spiders have the ability to produce these natural silk fibers that have remarkable properties, including high tensile strength, elasticity, durability, and softness. And so he figured out how to create spider silk without actually using spiders. This is Dan today, looking a little bit different. He's raised $90 million, and he has a deal with Patagonia to further develop the material. So I'm going to tell you about 5 principles that I use to teach exponential entrepreneurship. First of all, you have to focus on the value proposition. What is it that people care about? It's not just the technology. It's usually about what it does for them or how it solves their problem. Second, you have to talk to customers. So that's how you find out what people care about in your marketplace. If you stay in the lab or in the clinic, you're not going to know what people care about, and you need to find that product market fit. Third, you have to create a diverse team. The best teams are those that have not 3 PhDs from UCSF, but maybe an MBA from Haas, Berkeley, from a business person who knows what it's like in the real world, and a PhD from UCSF or a clinician. And we help them experience startup stress. So, we put them under a lot of pressure. We want to make certain that they know that they're expected to perform. There's no coddling by the faculty. And we make them present in front of their peers, so they get pressure from us, they get pressure from their peers and from their team members. And then fifth, we help them find an experienced mentor. And research has shown that mentorship is one of the key factors in success for a business. So this is Hobart Harris. He's not your typical student. He's chief of general surgery at UCSF, and he knew that there was a problem, that when he did abdominal hernias, there was a 10% problem with adhesions. And he knew that because he's chief, and he saw all the data. So he had an idea to develop a product that you'd paint on while the patient was open. Didn't change clinical practice, was 30 seconds, and was going to overcome this problem. So when he went into our class, he found out that, in fact, when he went out to talk to surgeons, because we pushed him out the door, that they didn't think they had a problem. They were like, well, it's not my problem. Maybe someone else does these bad surgeries, but it's not us. So he had to go back and completely change his business model. We run a number of different programs to make all this happen. We have a big ecosystem. We bring in people from all over the place to join our community at UCSF and enrich what's going on there. And this is a sample of the kinds of people that we attract. So just a couple of other quick stories. Companies that have started recently. This is Gene Edit. They're in the very hot area of CRISPR-Cas9, and they're working on delivery of gold nanoparticles. Brand new PhD from the bioengineering program at UCSF and Berkeley, and he's already raised a bunch of money. Tidepool is a type 1 diabetes company. Howard Look is the CEO. His daughter has type 1 diabetes. He's trying to solve the problem of not having integrated data to deal with, and he's doing very well, and here he is with President Obama, so indication that he is doing well and is recognized. And Elemento Health, who maybe you saw at the Medi Awards yesterday, Arup Roy Berman was, until very recently, medical director of our PICU, and he saw a big problem with integrating care practice on the front line, and he's developed an app to solve that problem. So I just want to leave you with a few words about my passion. My passion is entrepreneurship and getting these things started. And I travel around the world and I teach around the world, and I've seen entrepreneurs in places that don't have the ecosystem we have. They don't have any financial resources. There's no venture capital in these countries, and they're shamed if they fail in their ventures. And yet there's this tremendous spirit. So here we are in Vietnam. I was there in January, and their spirit is just amazing. They're trying to create an economic future. This is Marrakesh, a wonderful conference called Peace Through Entrepreneurship. It turns out that Morocco is the one stable country in the MENA region, and entrepreneurs there want to set an example for nations all around them that have succumbed to Islamic terrorism, to prove there's another choice, there's another direction you can take. And lastly, this is Maha Yusuf. I met Maha as a Pakistani engineering student when I was at a US State Department conference in Istanbul 5 years ago. And as a Pakistani woman, she was expected to marry, settle down to a traditional life, but she's an entrepreneur, and she didn't want to do that. She wanted to start a technology company and make a difference. And so I urged her to aim high for her PhD and encouraged her to go someplace where her entrepreneurship would be encouraged. And here she is passing her PhD qualifying exams at Stanford. So she is well on her way to changing the world. And for those of you who have the passion to make a difference, this is a wonderful route to succeed in. Thank you very much.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.